All right, guys, we are voices off now. It's Unit 3, Day 3. Sorry for my voice. This is how it is. 11/3/25. We're looking at, I think that's the right date. Yep. Judges 15 and 16. I'm going to be very quick today. There's a few things I want to highlight, and that's kind of it. Because we should already be somewhat familiar with the story if we did the homework. And if we did the reading I asked you to. You should know the story. It's also pretty famous, right? It's where Samson and Delilah they start dating or whatever they're doing. He starts having sex with the prostitute. She is a prostitute. That's just the case. He has intercourse. He has intercourse with the lady of the night. When Annalise comes back. All right. So, what? What is the birds and the bees?
It's like the same thing
That's what.
as what you just said.
All right. All right, guys. So here's the deal. I want to go quick so that we have more time. I want to first talk quickly about researching and what I expect. I spent about 45 minutes last week talking about this. This is part of why my voice is so sore. Because then I was in the Dells this weekend, yelling at my kids. So the thing is, when we research, what you're doing is you're not looking at AI stuff, those AI summaries, but you're finding a bunch of information and you're going, oh, this actually all kind of connects, and you're demonstrating how the different things connect. And then every time you find one that you go, well, I just reworded their sentence and reused their information, that's plagiarism if that's all you do. If you just if I reword something that Amber says, I've plagiarized. But if I reword what she says and say, yeah, Amber told that to me, guess what I did? I cited my source, and it's good to do that, all right? So, one of the ways that you can connect these paragraphs, find keywords. There's a few keywords in today that if you're taking notes and paying attention would be helpful to know. In today's, both my lecture and the paragraphs, the words adultery, the word folklore, the name Samson, those are all helpful. Because when I ask you to use the Anchor Bible Dictionary, guess what the Anchor Bible Dictionary has? An article on every single one of those. Any named character in the Bible will have a scholarly article in the Anchor Bible Dictionary. So when I ask you to give me a scholarly source, just look up the name of one of the characters, all right? Look up the genre. All right, here's what I want to talk about really fast. Three ways to interpret the Samson story. The Samson story. All right. The first, we talked about this last class, but that Samson represents Israel and the spiritual and physical sure, adultery they committed. All right. Israel is called God's bride. All right. There's a term. Israel is often referred to as God's bride. That is an important detail we'll talk about later this unit, but that Israel is God's bride. So when they choose, and this is a good word to look up later today, when they choose to go find different gods, every time they do that, they are committing spiritual adultery. Right? So there's one way of understanding that Samson is showing this. He ends up having sex or intercourse or whatever, having adultery with 3 women, and each one of them is of a different ethnicity that Israel often would go and fall into sin, worshiping their gods alongside of. All right. The next is that Samson warns Israel's exiled king to repent. All right. It's possible because we talked about how in the redactors are working during the exile, right? They're not working to edit or write these texts when these events are happening. They're doing it way hundreds and hundreds of years after these events apparently happened. It's possible that Samson warns Israel. It warns the king to repent. One of the reasons you could say this is because Samson suffers the same torment, the same result that happens to Israel's exiled king. All right, let's see. I realized I did need this slide for something. All right, I'll just grab that in a second. All right, so then our third and final one, I'm going to be honest with you. This is personally my least favorite, just personal opinion, but I get it, is that Samson foreshadows Jesus. Samson foreshadows Jesus. And I'll explain in a second. And shows mankind's failure. Now, if you parallel this to the story of Jesus, there are a lot of parallels for this, actually, that you could find. The Anchor commentary in the final section of the Samson story article, the Anchor Bible Dictionary does talk about these and does show these parallels if you want to help find them. There's a lot of good parallels. Now, my personal bias is just to say the Tanakh, these texts are written way before Jesus existed, so they're unaware of who Jesus is or will be, so they're unable to foreshadow something they don't know about. Right? I just think that that's the case. I think that's the best way to read this. Now, there's other ways. If you say this is a text that is inerrant and guided by God perfectly, that he planned the beginning and the end before all time, which that's fair enough. And I'm not saying I don't believe that, but I just don't know that the text wants us to do that. But if that's the case and you want to believe that, that's great. Samson definitely foreshadows Jesus in that case. I think that's a fine reading. It's not mine. I think these other two are good. I personally like the first one. All right, so let me do a quick outline, and then you have the rest of class as work time. This last part of the story is famous because Samson inadvertently basically starts a war. He becomes the massive enemy of Philistine. He's already been a pain in their side, and then he finally makes a really funny sex joke where he says he refers to all these guys and says, "I don't know why you had to plow with my heifer," referring to his wife as a heifer, but also, yeah, it says plow with my heifer, which is a pretty funny pun. But then from there, he goes and ties a bunch of foxtails together, lights them on fire, throws them into the field, and they decide to get revenge by hiring him a prostitute to try to find his weakness. So Delilah shows up, and then he goes from Samson to Simpson.
Whoa.
This is AI generated, I'll be honest. Except I came up with the Philistine girl bathwater joke. That was my idea. So,
What's
yeah.
Philistine girl water?
Girl bathwater.
Ew.
Their pee?
They know. You guys know. No, because he's a total simp. All right. So, anyways, that's honestly, I give the outline just so that I can make that joke. So, here's what we're gonna do. You have an hour, groups of 4. That's the whole of my lecture. You need to give me some scholarly articles, groups up to 4 people. So 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. You need to give me scholarship. I'm gonna put timers on the board to keep you going. You just need to keep pace, get the work submitted. I can fudge numbers if the work isn't great, but you're continually growing, all right? The point of these is not that they're perfect every time, but that you're learning each story, and that by the end of the unit, you can do this proficiently by yourself. All right, get going.